Hello, everyone, for episode 12 of What Great Agents Do in Time of Crisis. And I don't have my cohort here today, Rick Barabee, as he is teaching Success Series. So I know some of you are out there enjoying Success Series, and that's okay. All right. I have I think, a very important topic to share today. And what I've done is I've gotten different questions from leadership as well as sales executives. And I've kind of combined them into what I want to title 4 Key Ingredients, okay, to exit a real estate crisis stronger than you entered. So, makes sense? We want to exit stronger than we enter. Now keep in mind, we don't have an exact date in any of the markets when the exact time frame we're going to open, or truthfully, how we're even going to open. But guess what? I'm going to show you that focusing on that specifically isn't going to really help. All right? That information will come in time, and when it does, we will utilize that information to move forward. But I really want to key on these 4 points, and then please, if you have questions for clarity on any of these, we'll answer them here today, and or if they come in later, we'll answer them at our next session. All right. So how do we exit stronger than we came in? Well, 1, and this may sound a little bit like a broken record, but I have to bring this one up because it's key. Having clarity on your goals and the desired outcome, not the challenge itself. I want to give you an example about this. It's very easy in times like this to focus on the challenge itself because that's what we're hearing about constantly. However, we're not going to let that happen. So let me give you an example. You know, I hear from friends in the industry that, you know what, they've got grave concerns on the commercial market, that the commercial market, okay, is going to have its own challenge, its own downturn. Well, let's say, just as an example, you knew or felt strongly that the commercial market for office space was going to be hit. How do you take advantage of that? So if we're thinking, I don't want to focus on the crisis, I want to focus on a solution. Well, guess what? You need a tenant. So in that example, you wouldn't have to know all the information of which buildings were going to have challenges. You wouldn't have to know exactly the prices yet. What you'd want to focus on is if I can attract tenants and understand who's going to still need space, regardless where the opportunity is, I can take advantage of it. That is an example of focusing on the opportunity and not focusing and talking just about the problem. It's not that the problem's not there, it's you're not taking your time focusing on it, you're focusing on the opportunity. Okay, so clarity on goals and desired outcome. For you, that's really straightforward. What are you trying to accomplish? Has nothing to do with the challenge. What are you trying to accomplish in 2020? And what do we need to do? As you know, we call it our DRC, Daily Revenue Commitment. What do you need to do each day to achieve it? All right, and remember, your DRC needs to support the goals that you have set out for yourself. Next, so important, who leads your attitude? Who leads your attitude? Is it you? Is it other people? Is it other circumstances? Now, I'm going to tell you, that's a big, big point. We're all dealing with the whirlwind. We're all dealing with the crisis. We're all dealing with, other situations that ultimately the crisis indirectly caused in our lives. That can affect our families, that can affect our friends, and now we're dealing with that along those same lines. We're not robots. We're not perfect at this. You will never master it. But the better you get at not letting outside stimulus affect your world, the more success you will have. And I will promise you, your thought process, your attitude, that if you control it, will be one of the key factors that brings you out of this crisis, okay, ahead of your competitors. You got a couple choices. Continue to talk about the issues, letting other people other circumstances lead your world, oh, don't worry, you'll come up with 1,000 reasons and excuses why that's okay to do. It's not. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't support you getting out of a crisis stronger than you came in. Okay? That's what we want to do. That's what today's about. So you always going back to, I understand that's going on. I have empathy now. Let's bring it back to what I need to accomplish, all right, and achieve. And in that same vein, you don't have to have less empathy. You're just focused on what's really moving you and your family and your business forward. And you can have empathy and help friends and family who are in need. Number 2 on this, well, really, though that first one had 3 items, but number 2 key ingredient, you have to transform yourself into a trusted advisor. Now, I know you've heard this. Alan Dalton talks about it. In fact, he came up with the term, and I love it. Okay, a trusted advisor. Clients are coming to you because they trust you, and you're going to advise them on, hey, I've got questions regarding the real estate market. How do I orchestrate it? So here's some ingredients that goes within that. 1, if you're going to be a trusted advisor, you're going to deliver facts of record. You're not just going to deliver opinion. You're not just going to go with your gut. Your gut's there. Trust me, your gut has your back. But the reality of it is, if you want to get out of the crisis sooner and build a true trusted advisor with all your clients, you got to communicate with facts of record. And you have to do it consistently, and you got to do it where they can understand what you're saying. You know, I see facts of record come out, and I'm a fairly smart guy. It takes me a long time reading that stuff through to even understand what's really trying to be said here. What's the message? And I know the real estate game, right? And sometimes I have to be honest, I can't even figure it out. I don't know where you're trying to communicate or what you're trying to say. That's a problem. We've got to keep it easy to understand, and it's got to go out consistently. Facts of record, consistently, and understandable. Next, I want you to think about, and this will come into a lot of different areas, forward pacing your client. What do we mean by that? Well, in all of its forms. So if you are having thought processes or questions coming up from your clients, what can you do in your business to help forward pace some issues, some objections, some challenges that you know are going to come up? But guess what? I'm going to lay the groundwork up front. A good example of this is a pre-listing package. In this example, let's say a pre-listing virtual package. You know why I'm doing that? I am forward pacing my client and letting them know they're not even thinking of selling today. But when you are, this is the kind of information, this is the kind of quality, this is the kind of technology and support that I have. All right, you know what? Enjoy the pictures. It's not something that's urgent for you today, but I have forward paced you to let you know I'm giving you facts of record, it's quality, I'm showing you quality photos, I'm showing you quality technology that keeps you up to date on your geographical neighborhood. And I know when the time comes, that will still be in the back of your mind, and it will help forward pace, so we're going to have the best opportunity to work together. Now this third one, this next one is part of that thought process. To get out of a real estate crisis stronger than you came in, you have to commit to growth in all of its forms. See, sometimes we get caught up into say, I want to do business. I want to get going again. I want to, attract some buyers, some sellers. You know what? I just want to get out there. I get that. But I want to even tweak that. If you really want to come out stronger, you've got to commit to growth. You know, when I think back to other crises, think back to 06, 07, 08, 09, what really helped us get through that in a big way is we grew through that downturn. We grew through that challenge. I want you to think about that. What are you doing right now that will support growing through this issue? I'm not even going to call it a downturn because we don't know where that all is at as of right now. So it doesn't matter. How are you and what are you doing specifically to grow through it? It affects your systems and technology. Are you ready? Have you put the systems and technology in place that will support your growth. How about your skill sets? You know, we talk about a virtual listing presentation. Sounds like a great idea. I know people are using it. How's your skill set? How's your script? How comfortable are you? Have you spent time building confidence? You know, repetition, 2 ways to learn, okay? Emotional involvement, which I know is happening now in different ways, and repetition. Well, in real estate, repetition comes up a lot. Okay, unless it's your first listing, then it's both repetition and emotionally involved because you're scared to death. So if we're talking about a new virtual, a listing presentation, you know what? You probably have some flop sweat, even though you've been in the business a long time. If you do, then you're emotionally involved, and then you need repetition to keep on going. All right? Skill sets matter. And then last but not least, on investing in growth is frequency. You're going to not only have to communicate well, okay, but you got to communicate more often. I want you to think of growing that amount of communication. We're doing it as an organization. Trust me. I know we've been communicating more than we ever have. I've learned that this is really good. And so we're not going to stop. We're going to keep some of these additional communications because they're very effective and they work well. I want you to think the same way. I want you to put these additional communications in play, start them now, and then continue with them. So your clients hear from you now more than they ever have. And they're hearing from you with these key aspects supporting you investing in your growth. And last but not least for today, I want you to invest. If you're going to come out of this stronger, you got to commit to investing in saleable inventory. Yep, we've heard it many times. You got to list to last. And that's true. You really do. And the power of listing, specifically in an environment like this, it does a few things. One, it has agents in your entire market working for you because you've got a listing and they are all working with buyers and they're all trying to sell your inventory. You just hired every agent in the marketplace. Two, if you have inventory and you're great with buyers, perfect. It attracts buyers on a consistent basis. The more inventory you take, the more buyers you will attract. So if you like buyers, inventory is one of the most powerful ways to attract buyers. And third, when you have a foundation of listings, it helps you create a more consistent, repeatable income, okay, that you can depend on long term. I know if I always keep 10 listings, some will continue to sell and I'll get more. Some will continue to sell and I'll get more. If I do that, I know no matter what, I've got a consistent income from the sale of those listings. Look, today's about getting out of this market stronger. Not the same, not just getting out, but getting out stronger than you came in. If that's true and you want that, then inventory, getting listings for you is a key ingredient to that success. So 30-second update, 4 key ingredients: clarity on where you're going and where you're headed. Don't focus on the challenge. Focus on what you need to accomplish. Transform yourself into a trusted advisor. Invest in your growth. Must invest in your growth. And invest in gathering saleable inventory. Listings are key. All right. Any questions that have come up? I don't think any questions have come up as of yet. So with that said, I'm going to cover a couple positives that came in since last week, and I love it. We have out of our Yorba Linda office in California, Cherie and Jay Dunn. Well, if you're wondering if there's business out there and you're having some challenge, well, how about putting in $10 million worth of volume since the shutdown began? Okay? Now, some of those were escrows that needed to close even after the shutdown. That got done, and 50% of this volume came in after the shutdown happened. So I think 10 million of volume shows that there's business out there. Woohoo! Great job. All right, out of our Sahara office, I love this one, out of a Sahara office in Las Vegas, Nevada, okay, Kara Hinton, all right, she did some door knocking back in November, passing out flyers. You know, honestly, she shared, she really didn't believe in door knocking, but you know what, I'll give it a try. Well, during the shutdown, you know, she took her dog for a walk. We're all doing that. You know, if you have a dog, I guess if you're not having a dog, there's no reason to walk it. Okay, good point. So, while she's walking her dog, one of the neighbors came up to her and said, "Oh my God, I recognize you from a flyer that you dropped off at my house. I have to sell. Would you be willing to come over to my house and give me a presentation?" Well, clearly, she did not mind to do that. And I do have to say, she said, her last point here was, oh my God, door knocking does work. So, from a guy who started his career in door knocking, yes, even though we're not doing it right now, I promise you door knocking will come back. So, congratulations. Woohoo! Good luck on that listing. All right, Nisreen Howley out of our Sedona office. All right, this one is very integral, but it's powerful. All right, so first, since the stay-at-home came about, she's had 5 transactions, 5 sales happens just since the shutdown. One of them was completely virtual. Now, I want to give you this example. It was great. She got the client from doing an ad on Facebook. And she's very social media savvy. I love it. So she did this ad. She was targeting California zip codes, and she got a client. Now, one thing about this client is they weren't big fans of realtors. Their past experience with realtors was not a good one. But looking forward to moving to Sedona, so she contacted Nisreen to work with her. Well, those of you who haven't had the opportunity to work with Nisreen, she's amazing. She really is. So this started off where she got going. I think a lot of challenges happened through this from let me read her words so I don't blow it here. Okay, she started off by doing a video walkthrough of the home, all right, with the client being able to see the property, and she submitted a full price offer. She attached a home inspection on her behalf and then conferenced the client in while the inspector was in the house, okay? Repairs came up needed. Well, the client said, I'll take care of the repairs, but then they canceled on her. All right, so Nisreen had to step up to the plate. She got a local repair person out there to take care of the repairs. She also took care of the documents all closed by FedEx. And last but not least, they had the moving company out there. All right, oh, I apologize. The inspector wasn't canceled. That was my mistake. Inspector wasn't canceled. These are real, guys. Okay, these are life. And I'm trying to do this because this is a long one. The inspector wasn't canceled. The movers were canceled. And so the buyer had set up their movers. At the last minute, they got canceled. No problem. Nisreen stepped up to the plate, got local movers, okay, to drive to California, pick up this lady's furniture, bring it back to Sedona, and make sure that everything was moved into the property like it should be. Even the refrigerator was filled with refreshments. Shortly after the movers got done, the buyer came to the house, and I love this. Nisreen had to ask her this. Well, is your faith in realtors better today than it was yesterday? And she says, absolutely. So, woohoo! Long but worth it. Long but worth it. All right. Enough for today. We'll have more good news.
Got a question?
And we got a question. Let's do it.
Mr. Matt Mullins says, thanks, Mark. Where or how would you target investing and obtaining listings today?
Okay. Wow. What a great question. So the question is, where would I focus on looking for listing today? Well, I know this has come up in office meetings, and so I think it's worthwhile. One of the great places is out-of-state owners. So if you know in certain areas that, you know what, you're wondering who's living out of state, sending a letter going, hey, look, if you're looking to divest in your property, I think, you know what, now's an absolute time to do that. 2, A second one is, separate from the core for sell by owners, expireds, another one that you can look at is, look, based on the situation the world's in, there are going to be people who have to sell their property. All right? Be it it was a job loss, a concern of a job loss, a lower in compensation, whatever the case may be is. So reaching out to your sphere and to your geographical farming right now is powerful, because guess what? No one knows what they don't know right now. And if someone got laid off, they've got decisions to make. And keep this in mind. Here's the beautiful thing. This is kind of the silver lining here. The beautiful thing about what we're going through today, and there's nothing ultimately beautiful about it, so probably a bad choice of words, but I will tell you the silver lining on it, is we're not in the financial hit in the real estate market. That's why it's not a good comparison to 2008, 2007. So what does that mean for those people who sadly are in a situation where they have to consider selling, even if they normally wouldn't want to? They can sell their property. The equity is still there. We're not seeing a dip in those prices. Now, if they've pulled out their money because they did a cash refi, well, then they got their money. But separate from that, I would bet a dime to a dollar that most people will have equity now, that if something were to happen that they had no choice to sell, okay, and it's something they had no intention of selling a month ago, and today they have to do that. So keep in mind, all right, to Matt's question is, if you've contacted them a while back may be meaningless today. So reconnecting with people well and often will let you connect to what they're going through at this moment in time. All right, and I think those are a couple areas that you absolutely can, that don't miss that opportunity to get some additional listings. Love it. Okay, with that said, I hope today was valuable for you. Any additional questions we will answer next week. I believe my cohort, Rick, will be back next week, and we'll see everybody then. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.